you you offering to help me.
Yeah, no problem. I'll put my email in the chat here.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you want to get my contact information, it's right there. If you have a phone, you can just scan it.
Can you
Tell
type,
you what, that
just
is
type your email into
brilliant.
the?
I've- that is like the best Zoom card I've ever seen in my
Right.
life.
I know it's so handy to have a QR code on Zoom meetings because you can just hold it up and people just scan it.
It's fuzzy. It's fuzzy, Henry. I can't read it. It's blurred.
Really?
It's
it-
I see something media. That's all I see. Uplift
Yeah,
media.
that should be it. Yeah.
And what's before it though?
Sorry, I was holding the QR code for you. It's Uplift.
Henry dot Freeman.
Henry dot. I'll just put it in chat.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, that scan didn't work for me.
Really?
QR code, right?
That
All right,
sucks.
guys,
I'll have to check it out again.
Let's get this going because I know there's a few of us that want to jump off at 9 o'clock to see what's going on this evening. But we have a special episode today. Wanted to kind of expand a little bit into uncharted territory a bit with everybody. So normally we go through these meetings and we do introductions and we see, what you've been up to and maybe the progress you've had over the previous week. But we're going to explore the deepest, darkest parts of your mind right now. So we're going to talk about fear and what's holding all of us back. Something, especially professionally, that maybe we know we should do, that we don't do, looking at the barriers that might be invisible to us and maybe visible to others, or things that you reason or create rationally in your head why you're not doing it, even though you know it's going to take you to the next level of where you need to be. So I want to go around, and it's a pretty simple question. What are you afraid of? And everyone here, I'm sure, has a vision of where you want to be a year from now, 5 years from now, as you're growing, what you need to do to grow, and see if you can pick out one thing that's really, really been a hard hurdle for you, or something that you're like super hesitant to do, even though you really should do it. Does anybody want to go first?
Well,
I can. Do you want to go first, David?
yeah, go ahead. I was gonna say I'm afraid of clowns in the dark. That's normal for everyone.
And actually, I want to. So this topic actually came up because of a conversation David and I were having earlier today. He was, and I'll let him describe it, but a lot of the people that he's currently coaching right now, this is like a common theme. Am I right?
Yeah.
You want to get into it a little bit as to how this came about?
Yeah, it's it looks like a lot of different types of ice cream, but when you really get down to it, it's just ice cream. So it doesn't matter what flavor, what color it is. So what I've been experiencing is that it's really about inaction and lack of motivation. But it's not really lack of motivation, it's more inaction. And I was trying to figure out, like, why are these people not kind of taking that next step? And the more I dug, every single time it was simply fear. Like, that was the bottom line. Like, it didn't take like a psychotherapist to figure it out. You just ask enough questions, and you found that, like, they're just afraid. And so, I was thinking, like, okay, talking to Adam about this, it just came to my mind that it was like it all came back down to fear. And then my one client said, well, it's fear, but beyond fear, it's pain. And I found that interesting. It was just how he kind of described it that way. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out to you guys, because I thought it was interesting. It's like if we're if we're not doing something, if we're entrepreneurs and just not taking that next step, what is it that is, what are we fearful of? And that was kind of the real question, because I think that's when it becomes individualized. And so I was just kind of curious as Adam and I talk today, what types of things are we afraid of, and what types of things, and then how do you get over that? Like, how do you, face it, recognize it, assess it, and then find a way to kind of jump over that hurdle or break through that wall of fear. So that was kind of the idea of the whole notion of kind of inaction, and how how do you break through for real? Like, how do you really do it?
Yeah. And to kick it off, I know this is kind of a tough subject, but I'll take a stab at it first, just to break the ice a bit. Something that I know that I have to do in my entrepreneurial ventures, everything that I do, a lot of it always comes back to personal branding. And people don't necessarily buy your brand, they're kind of buying you, right? And in order to get to the next level, you have to really put yourself out there. You have to be vulnerable. You got to, go on social media. You got to do these videos. You got to interview people. You really got to be a personality, and have that, get out of obscurity, right? And it's always been challenging for me to want to do that. I know I need to do it, but I choose other tasks. Like, I know I should be doing this, but I willfully find something else to do that I know is going to be also productive, in order to avoid the pain of just spending time out there, because I don't want, and I don't know necessarily what I'm afraid of. Is it the fear of actually becoming a center of attention, fearful of maybe something I say that somebody judges me on, that, that I'm insecure with certain things that I might be talking about, or, I don't know necessarily what the fear is, but I know I don't do it, and I know I should. So you guys have any suggestions on how to get me through?
So
Make me do it.
I don't know about to make you do it, but I kind of when I was in high school, I really wanted to do stuff like that. I really wanted to do things like YouTube, and especially with businesses have make my Instagram page and all that, and my Facebook page and all that. But my biggest fear was people I know finding out and then judging me on it, and thinking, oh, this is a joke, because high school is you do anything, someone's gonna judge you for it. And I kind of just got I kind of just kept doing it, and I do it on my own. I just myself, I'd make videos that only I saw, and it kind of got me more comfortable with the idea of seeing myself on camera and doing the videos, and then posting them wasn't such a big deal, because I felt like it was, it was good enough, I guess. And the same with content. And then I don't know, that's, I just kind of I guess I realized people who are going to critique.
Did you ever get over Did you ever get over it, or was the fear always kind of there?
I feel like I just kind of naturally got over it. I just kind of stopped caring if people gave a crap or not, because I knew I knew that it was what I wanted to do. So if someone was this is if someone's making fun of it or whatever, I didn't really care. I don't know, it just kind of happened. But I guess one of the biggest things is, I read this somewhere, it's people who are doing better than you won't judge you. You'll only ever get criticism from people below you. So I guess it's if you have people judging you, it's a good thing, I guess. It shows you're on the right path. That people are, you're passing people on that ladder to success, because now they're judging you for what you're doing.
Yeah, you know what, Henry? That's funny because I had that happen to me actually a couple times, and this this book that that we're writing, I was promoting it on Facebook, and I was showing pictures of it and making comments and just getting the word out. And the guy that I work with, he's like, you should really like stop posting that. You got to stop doing that. And I'm thinking to myself, why? Like, why would he want me to stop doing that? I'm not hurting anybody by showing what I'm potentially going to be publishing. I just didn't understand. Then I thought about it, and I was like, oh, okay. He doesn't want me to have the edge, like,
right, exactly.
And that's my interpretation of it. I'm probably right, but still, it was kind of
there's
like,
there's many reasons why people would, be critical of you if it's their own self-ego, if it's, they don't want you to do better than them, or whatever the case is, they just don't like you. There's many different reasons why people be critical, but at the end of the day, it's because you're doing something that either they want to be doing or something better than what they're currently doing.
Right.
So no one criticizes you when you're doing something, lesser than them. You don't go into Kroger and make fun of the cashier,
Right.
I guess is
I was actually telling this story the other day. So when I worked at, I was a area developer for Cold Stone Creamery, and our in the store that we owned, and then we supported a bunch of other stores. When we got a tip in our stores, and they still do it today, when you get a tip, you're required to sing.
Really?
And so when I first started, I was like, we have to do what? We have to actually like sing in front of strangers? Like, not my thing.
Yeah.
And really had to get out of my comfort zone to do it. And like you were saying, Henry, like I started doing it a few times. Like I felt super embarrassed because my voice sucks. I'm not a singer. Never had voice lessons. I think I got like an F in choir. So if that was even possible.
Right.
And it's over time, like I didn't care. Like I didn't, it just got to a point where like, whatever, like I can be goofy and just blow it off.
Yeah.
But so getting the criticism and people saying, you suck or you shouldn't be doing that. For me, I don't think that's necessarily like my fear. That doesn't bother me. Like I can have naysayers and I can blow them off and ignore them, whatever, or, have sympathy for them. But I think for me, part of my fear is I know that when I put myself out there, it puts me in a light of other people that are going to be, using it as maybe like a reference point. I don't know if that makes sense. Like,
So you're afraid like if you mess up, other people are gonna like use what you say and like mess up themselves.
The more you go up the corporate ladder or the entrepreneurial ladder, the circle that you're surrounded with becomes smarter and more competent and more sophisticated. And
I'm getting some echo. Anybody else?
Yeah, I was getting a bit of echo, but I just wasn't trying to.
Better? I think it stopped.
I think so, yeah.
So that the higher you go up the ladder, the more you're surrounded by smarter and smarter, people, Ivy League people, whatever. And they're like, you know what? I think what you were saying is kind of full of crap, whatever it is. And then you start feeling really, really stupid or insecure, and even more business starts coming in, and you start getting busier and busier. And then the life that you really wanted to have goes away. That's kind of like my vision. It's like, oh, you get so big and then you get so busy that it's like all this success is really for nothing, because then you just create more work.
Yeah.
You've
I guess it's
read
kind of
about
like
Russell Branson, the Virgin guy, who works like a couple hours a day, but he's very focused, doesn't have any electronics, not even a smartphone, but he's pretty well developed with his time management types of things. So you don't have to be always on, you know, it doesn't have to be a death sentence or you get married to the job, you know, if you're going to be successful.
I think
Richard Branson only works a few hours.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. I think he's like 70 now, isn't he? He's
yeah, he's probably retired.
Yeah.
He's up there.
He's selling everything off currently, but I think it's kind of like when it comes to being surrounded by smarter people, I think that's like I think that's like I guess like an ego issue. In like you don't want to go from a position of like where you feel like you're, you know, at least on par or above people to a position where you're surrounded by people who make you feel stupid. And in that sense, it's I guess in that case, it's kind of like I kind of point to like starting out. When you started out in real estate, did you know anything? And it's like, no, you know, you kind of like learned it as you went, and you made mistakes, and those, you know, you found people who could mentor you and show you how to do what you do now. And it's kind of that same idea. It's like you go to a new level, and it's like everyone there is above you, but you got to kind of find how are you going to, you know, you got to think like, how are you going to use that to your advantage to, you know, how can they help like mentor you, I guess, to their knowledge level. Because it's kind of like starting out again.
It reminds me a little bit of like, you know, I wouldn't say for myself, I think myself above or below anybody, but it reminds me of like school, right?
Yeah.
You get grades, and if you get a D, your perception is that you're not smart.
Right.
But that's not true. Like you're just very smart in other things, or you didn't pay attention, or other issues environmentally were going on. And, you know, by getting that judgment of you, it starts creating and burrowing into your own head. It's like, okay, maybe this isn't, like, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I don't know this, or I can't master this. And it starts becoming pretty dangerous. And it's kind of like when you start putting that stuff out there, right? Other people are going to be grading you.
Yeah.
Right. Like with dating, Adam, not school dating. You know, it's like you talk about getting a D. It's like I just asked out a 7. She turned me down. I must be less than a 7. Like that hurts. You know, like I mean, whenever you find out your market value, most people aren't happy with it. I mean, you know,
I think
market value. That's the best.
I think the two biggest things are going back to that idea that, you know, people above you aren't necessarily going to criticize you. This like only people who are really below you are going to call you out for your crap, you know. And I used to be in a group of like I used to do code. I used to be in like a Discord with a lot of developers and coders, and those guys were morons. Like, you didn't understand how just stupid they were until you actually left it. But they acted like they were like the gods of coding, and they knew everything, and they were like these like elite hackers and all this. And then, you know, you kind of like listened to them, and you thought, okay, these guys know what they're talking about. And every time you bring up an idea, they'd be like, no, dude, that's like a stupid idea. And then you know, I eventually left that group, and I realized these guys don't know anything. Like, they've been criticizing me for like the last 2 years on everything and acting like they do all these things. And in reality, they don't. And that's the thing with the internet. It's like, people can look like they're, you know, they're up here, but really they're like sitting in their mom's basement somewhere, like pretending to be an executive, whatever. And it's, you just got to remember, I guess, that people aren't going to criticize you and call you out unless it's something they want to be doing, or they don't know, you know, that they're lower. And the other thing is kind of like self-progression, I guess. You know, you can't take what everyone says head on. You've got to kind of focus on yourself. And Apple is a good example of this, because Apple got to where it is today by improving upon itself, not improving upon its competitors. And it's a story that I heard from Simon Sinek, and he kind of talked about, you know, every time Apple made a phone, they aimed to be better than their last phone, not better than everyone else in the market. And through that, they created the best phone. And so I guess that's kind of how you have to look at it. It's like, is what I'm doing today better than what I did yesterday? And if the answer is yes, then, like, that's all you need. You don't need to listen to what everyone else is saying and what everyone else is doing, as long as what you're doing is better each day and you feel like you're doing better each day. How you'd value that, I suggest not off of other people's criticisms, but so I guess, yeah.
And Henry, it's interesting you bring up Cynic, because he also told a story. He was on stage with Zig Ziglar, and he was saying, like, he's like, look, he goes, Zig's been doing this forever, right? So he's like, Zig, how do you reach that guy in the audience who is just not paying attention, doesn't want to listen, and I just, I'm really, all my energy is going to that one guy. And Ziegler says, listen, there's 100 other people in the room they're listening to. You don't need to focus your energy on the guy that doesn't want it. So don't give it to him. Give it to the 100 that do want it. So it's kind of that. It was kind of a really cool story that he learned something from Ziegler that he was struggling with in his career too. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Just kind of focusing on the positives, and what's going right, and how you can continue doing what's going right, I guess.
It's going back to that old saying, like, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, in a way.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
You can do marketing, and some people are gonna love it.
Yeah.
People are gonna hate it.
And I think that's just kind of how you have to take it. Like, it's on the internet, so half the people commenting are trolls and the other half are just jackasses, and there's like a 1-2% of people who are actually, and 1-2% is like a couple million on the internet, but like they're the ones who actually are taking the value and really paying attention to you and really enjoy your content. And they're not people you're going to see in the comment section. They're people you're gonna, they might like reach out every once in a while, but they're not people you're necessarily going to see. You just got to kind of know they're there. Because it's kind of like leaving a review, right? Like, how many times have you left a review of a product you've loved? I've never. How many times have you left a crap review on a restaurant that didn't serve you in 30 minutes? Pretty much every time, It's kind of like, you can't look at the comments section and think that's everyone, because it's only the people who...
we had those numbers when I was in the restaurant world. When you have a good experience, you tell up to 7 people. When you have a bad experience, you tell up to 20.
Yeah, right. And it's that's just kind of how you have to look at, like, the comment section. It's not a positive place. It's full of a lot of people who just want to see you fail, I guess. And just kind of ignore them and know there's people out there
Fake
who
news.
actually want to see your content. Yeah, well, it's like, you got to know that there's people out there who actually enjoy your content and want to see it. And sometimes it can get to the point where it feels like there's no one out there, but again, like, you just kind of got to know, like, who you're doing it for, and is it getting better each day? And if people are watching it, that's the best thing. If your view count is going up, that means you're making content people want to see. So it's even if it's a bunch of crap comments, people are still watching it. So clearly someone's getting something out of it. It's when people stop watching that it's no longer interesting or no longer valuable.
Oh, that's good stuff. Yeah. All right, so I got that off my chest. So who's next?
Let me say something, Adam. It's probably safe to say that none of us come from a culture where we have to fear being kicked out of the family for failure. Right. There are Asian cultures, some of them, that they can and will be banned from the family if they fail. And this stuff is kind of like well hidden, but every year, not even every semester at the major Ivy League colleges, Harvard, Yale, MIT, somebody commits suicide, usually Chinese or Asian, because they got a C. They got a C. Mom and dad are gonna, disown them now, and that's no exaggeration. I don't think any of us come from that, but I mean, depending on who you're working with, I guess you never really know. You never know what kind of pressures they have.
Right.
behind them. It seems to be more common in Asian cultures. I don't think ours. Statistically, none of us would have that, but you never really know. I mean, some people experience extreme pressure from their families. The big tech companies, Facebook and in Silicon Valley, some people are on work visas, and if they get fired, their family gets deported. There's been suicides at Facebook. There's been, people who feel like they let their family down, and they just can't. That's got to be on their mind at all times. So it's out there in certain cultures. I mean, I've known parents who have pressured their kids, but not to that extent. It's out there. So personally, I only fear what I don't know. I don't know what I don't know. That's never going to change. I mean, there's like we were talking about. It's never just fear of failure. There's fear of something deeper. This is either you fear of going broke, going homeless, you fear of losing face in front of your family, your colleagues, losing status, fear of, like I said, when you ask that girl out, you're going to find out exactly where you are on the market. You're going to find out exactly where you are on the totem pole, and most of the time we're not going to like it, but
yeah, but you know what, Rich, you were too good for her anyway.
I know I was.
I think
you're just in the wrong market.
But,
yeah.
Right.
but like the
wrong niche.
Maybe in a way, the one fear you could never get over is fear of the unknown, because you don't know what you don't know. I mean, it's
right.
What am I getting into? How long is it going to take?
Yeah.
How can I ride out the dry spells, or can I ride out the learning curve? How bad is this going to hurt? How long is it going to take? I don't know what I don't know, and that's always going to be.
Right.
It's always going to be there.
I think that's a good lead into my biggest fear at the moment. If anyone else wanted to go first, or if you guys are okay with me going next.
Yeah, go for it.
But my biggest fear right now, I guess, is reaching out to generate those cold leads. Is I don't know what the response is going to be, and being from a very tight-knit community, it's like once everyone knows what you're doing, or once one person knows what you're doing, everyone knows. So it's like if my biggest fear, I guess, is reaching out to try and make a lead, screwing it up, and kind of having that idea that everyone now knows that I sent a stupid email to one business, and I guess that's what's keeping me from really reaching out and to potential clients, and emailing them, being like, hey, I think I could really help you. Is that idea that I guess rejection and the fear that it's something that I did or said that just sounded like childish or stupid, that now I feel like everyone's going to know that I sent out, and it's going to illegitimize myself. So
I actually heard a really good concept for making new contacts, and I forget the gentleman's name, but what he does is he goes and he researches companies that he wants to do business with, sees what they're doing, and then he sends them 10 of his best ideas.
Really?
He just gives it to them. He says, look, I noticed that you're not doing this. I was looking at your site, whatever, and here are 10 ideas that feel free to use. You don't need to pay me for them. I just thought that they would be beneficial to you. I am in this business. If you feel like it, we can talk further in the future, sure, but feel free to take these and run with them. And he's made more introductions and created more business through that concept than anything else he's done in the past. And he'll just produce these ideas and concepts for these companies and just give his best stuff away, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But
I bet 90% of the time. Yeah. I bet 90%
sounds
of
like
the
you're
time
talking
they don't
about
even.
James Altucher. Does that sound right?
Could be. He was on a podcast that I was listening to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Idea machine.
I bet 90% of the time though, like he sends them these ideas and they don't want to bother implementing themselves, so they just hire him on for the 10 ideas he's given them. So,
Maybe, or you do 2 or 3, right?
yeah.
But it gets your foot in the door,
right,
in a different method, and again, you're giving instead of
Right.
asking.
Yeah.
And it's a much better approach.
Yeah, I think.
Then it kind of takes away the fear. It's like if you're giving something for free, it's free. Like you can throw it in the garbage if you want, but there's no necessarily no judgment attached to it.
Right. I guess the biggest thing is then the follow up from that. Like, how do you kind of go from giving them to like asking them? Because I recently found a local coffee shop in a nearby town that didn't even have like the Google verified, and I just walked in, I got a coffee there, and I said to them, I'm like, hey, your guys' place is like really cool. I think more people should see it, and I think if you get verified on Google, it would really help boost your reach. And I said I do that for them for free, and it was like a really old lady, she's like in her 60s or something, and she was really pleased with that, that I'd do that for her, just for free. I don't really know how to go about then, like, not necessarily in this same scenario, but like in other scenarios potentially, like how do I then go from, hey, here's another idea, but I don't want to give you it for free, I guess. I don't want to have to do more free work,
Right.
How do I go from giving them free ideas to generating that to like.
Yeah, I mean, what I've noticed in the past, people that are already investing in advertising and marketing understand its value. People that don't, they're not investing in marketing and advertising right now, they don't understand its value, and it's a much harder sell. But if you're working with somebody that's already doing, freestanding inserts or Val Pack or, other types of like marketing concepts, they understand the concept that I can spend money and make money.
Right.
It's an investment. It's not an expense. And that hurdle, there's a lot of people in business that don't think that way. A lot of people think like, oh, it's an expense. I need to save money. I don't have the money to do marketing. Whereas like you can make more of a return on your marketing than any other investment you ever make. Real estate might be 15%. Well, a piece of marketing could be 1,000% of a return because you're going to get back the investment. So it's like educating people on that concept, I think is key to that. It's not an expense. It's like you're gonna, if done right, you're gonna make back your money 3-fold, 4-fold, 5-fold.
Right. So just kind of show them like, what's it gonna take them?
Yeah, and making it not intimidating. So you're not jumping from 0 to 100. You might be going from like 0 to 5. On the scale of like, hey, let's just do this for a month. We're gonna do 3 posts, and I'll charge you $50.
Yeah.
Right. And then take them from 50 to 100. But if you like, hey, and then it's gonna be $1,000 a month for life, they're gonna be like, no.
Whoa. Yeah.
Yeah. I off of that too. I learned somebody was saying podcast or whatever it was. The fact finding is really important. I mean, you got to find out where they are in, where they are, where their head is, where their business is, and then maybe you can tailor it, or look at it differently, or give them something that would help where they are, mentally, business wise, whatever, and then you're asking questions. And you're not like pushing, you're just getting information back. And then you can make an assessment, say, okay, well, maybe you can help them, with where they are. And then maybe there is a kernel there. It's like, wow, this could be really helpful. and then kind of move in that direction instead of selling them something that they simply can't use or don't want to use.
That's an awesome point. Actually, that's one of the shifts that I made in my selling in the past, was going from telling people what to do and what I think they should do versus asking questions and getting the information, which is a much better way of selling, actually, because you're going to start asking them questions that they haven't thought of. That they're like, oh,
Right.
wow, I really should be doing that. Like, that's a great question.
Right.
And they start realizing, like, I should be asking these questions, or I should be hiring Henry to do this for me. But the questions show you, they serve a couple purposes. One is it shows you as an expert, because you're asking questions that are very pointed and in a direction that they need to go in. And number two, it actually, by asking questions, you control the conversation.
Right.
You can instantly flip around control by asking a question. I use it with my kids all the time. It works.
If it works on kids, it works on business.
Yeah. Can we go to the mall? Why do you want to go to the mall? Yeah. It kind of flips it around, then it gets started. Whatever. Anyway, one step.
Well, thanks for that, guys. Yeah, that's really insightful.
I just thought of something, actually. I don't know if it's been mentioned yet, but fear of feeling stupid is a real thing. Not necessarily losing money or losing face or status or feeling physical pain. It's just feeling stupid. I can't say I don't struggle with that myself. I mean, it's like, okay, if I hire somebody for $500, that is not going to really hurt me. It's not going to, put me on the street or destitute, but I'll feel stupid if I hire the wrong guy. I'll feel stupid if I got taken, if I got, played, or if I just hired somebody incompetent, or, I mean, feeling stupid sucks. I hate feeling stupid, but it happens every day. But I mean, some people will go to great lengths to not feel stupid.
So this is something, actually, Dave and I were talking about this as well. It's like, when that happens, you have an internal dialogue that's going on in your head, and you're saying something to yourself at that point. If you were to guess, Rich, let's say you hired that person for $500, they screwed up or they ran off with the money, and you're sitting there just like, hands up in the air, what the heck just happened? You're calling yourself stupid. What other voices or things are you saying to yourself?
You're saying I could have done X with that $500. I could have done Y with that $500.
I just lost $500.
What's even worse is, let's say you try your hand at investing, trading stocks or something like that.
Don't even get me started.
You put down $500. You do a lot of work, a lot of research. Put down $500, lose it, and you say, not only all that work. It's not only all the time, all the work, plus the $500, and I could have sat on my ass and done nothing and had $500 more.
Yeah, I actually have a story.
That is feeling stupid to an extreme degree, and yeah, most people just would rather have anything upon them than that feeling.
When I started trading stocks, biggest mistake I ever made, listening to other people's advice, because. And not advice on how to trade, but what to trade. Because someone told me about a company, and they're like, yeah, this company's going to like explode. It's like the next big thing. I threw all my money into it. I'm like, yes, this is it. And I did my research, and again, I'm learning. So it's not like research. It's, I ask like Yahoo Finance, like, is this a good idea? So, I'm all proud of it. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to like make like tenfold. And then it halves in value. I lose $1,000 in like a week. And the whole way it's going down, I'm thinking, no, it'll go up, it'll go up, it'll go up. And I get to the end of the week, and I'm like sitting there thinking, do I sell or do I keep it? And I'm like having this debate, and I decide to sell it. And I'm glad I did sell it, but in my head, I'm like, God, I'm an idiot. Like, why did I hold on for a week? Like, letting it go down. I knew it was going down.
look at the pro and con ledger. Look at what's going through somebody's mind. I could lose $500. I could lose my time and feel stupid. There's 3 cons. Or I could spend $500 on a weekend getaway and have fun. Guaranteed good time.
I think it takes a rare person to be like, have an experience like that and say, you know what, yippee, I learned something. Like, that's
what I did. I always try and focus on the positive, because I really focus around Simon Sinek's teachings. But I took it and I'm thinking, I'm like, damn it, I lost $1,000. I screwed this up. Like, I should have sold like a week ago and all this. But then I'm thinking, but I learned a really valuable lesson. And from this lesson, I'm going to make my money back. And that's what I did. And I spent, it took me like a year, but I did it. I am at the point now where I'm like, people ask me, like, God, don't you wish that you didn't lose that $1,000, because you'd be like $1,000 ahead right now? I'm like, no, I'm kind of glad I did, because it really taught me a lesson that has now been why I can progressively make gains every week. And now, reaching back to that, past that break-even point. And so in like 5 years, I'll here's where I started, here's where I sold out. And 5 years, I'll be like way up here, it's like, without that drop, I wouldn't have made that lesson, and I wouldn't have made those gains.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where my head went. I'm like, you know what? It is a lesson, and I gotta find the positive in it, and then monetize that. So
sorry to cut you off, Henry. John, I know you got to
you're right.
You're gonna get going. You're not getting off.
5 minutes to tell you about my every fear.
Yeah, the deepest fear you have, and we'll solve it in 5 minutes.
All right, let's do that. Well, when you were talking, it was basically procrastination seemed to be your big thing, and it's like a billboard in my life. I'd be late for my own funeral type situation, so no matter what it is, I was trying to, I think it might be a fear of not enough, that I always want to try to get extra things done before I'm going anywhere. Or it's just like one of the big things that I, just, being focused is another issue that I have. I want to be good at everything, want to do all these different things that I'm interested in. And I don't have time enough, or I don't make time to read 10 pages a day like I know I should. And, when you have so many different interests, 2 different companies, going on and trying to do marketing and all those different things, like what's important, what's not. And my fear of technology has really put me behind the 8 ball, because I'm dependent upon my wife to set up something in Word, because I can't get 2 pictures to go in onto something that I was giving out as a handout, and she does it in 2 seconds. And I'm like, oh my God, so things like the technology, something that Rich could do with his eyes closed, I'm like, pulling my hair out. It's the easiest thing out there, but that's one of my big things is, feeling overwhelmed because I don't have the technology aptitude that other people do.
So what are you doing right now to overcome it? Or are you just avoiding it altogether?
Well, I hired someone to do that, as you recommended. And unfortunately, he didn't have the proper operating system on his iPhone. He was a little, you could pay them per hour and things of that sort. And he's in the Philippines. I felt bad for him, but, he didn't have, at least like archaic, what he had. But I'm going to hire somebody else to do that. Like a lot of the drawings and the setting up the systems to keep track of all my leads and things of that sort, and the stuff that I hate doing, and stuff that I know I should be doing, I have, outsource it and, quit pulling my hair out about it. But I did hire one person. Now I got to hire somebody. I guess I'm going to pay, have to pay, get a little higher grade of a, income or per hour person to do that,
I think that's the best like option with technology. Like technology is one of those things you either learn it or you don't. I feel like I don't know anyone who's learned technology, who didn't know technology. And so I guess like the best solution is just to like hire someone out who does understand it. That saves you the time of finicking around with it. But as for getting over a fear of technology, I don't know.
It's not a fear of technology; it's a frustration and disgust with technology.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, it's just are they trying to make it hard for me? You know, are they are they going out of their way?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in those Punked episodes. Remember Punked? Those Punked episodes.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm in the middle of one of those, aren't I? I know it. I have to be. There's no way this is real.
I don't know. It's
It makes you wonder.
I kind of like it. Yeah, I kind of like it because it's I don't know. I'm kind of weird. I like things that are a challenge. It's new technology is like something that I find interesting and fun to try and figure out. It's like a game. It's like trying to put together a puzzle.
So John, it seems like a way for you to overcome your fear is actually outsourcing. You're outsourcing your fear to somebody else that might have a different
Pay someone else to worry.
right, someone else to worry about it, or their story of what they believe technology to be is completely different. Like Henry, you were saying, like it excites me. John probably says like it frustrates me, and those are just different words describing the exact same thing due to previous experience that was either pleasant or not pleasant, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I am going to go and see what the election or the debate's going to be like. It should be interesting, needless to say. Hey, to all,
give you a laugh.
To all a good night.
Appreciate it, John.
Good night.
Got it. Take care. We'll see you.
Yeah.
Here, John.
You got it.
David, how about you, man?
Oh boy, afraid of so many things. Where do I start?
Well, it started with when I was born.
Yeah, I think I think there's the way I categorize this is I kind of alluded to it and talked about a little bit where it's like the afraid of the unknown. It's kind of what Adam, what you were saying, like fear of success, where you get too big. And that's really what I took from that was really about loss. Like you'll get so big, people, things will change, and once they change, you'll lose something, right? And so it's that's really the fear of loss, in that thing. So I have examples of that, and then fear of failure is the other one, right? I'm gonna fail. I'm not gonna be successful. So I think with those three, I'm sure we can come up with examples from all three, in our lives, in some shape or form. But I think the one thing that kind of really bugs me is the fact of just kind of, it's very similar to what you were saying, Adam, like kind of putting yourself out there and being judged. I know I was at a family function on Sunday and, pulled up a chair to a table, and my cousin's like, "Hey, is that book coming?" And I could feel myself getting embarrassed by it. Like it was that feeling like you start to sweat a little bit, and it's like, oh boy, like, am I good enough? It's all that stuff that goes through your head. And I think like putting yourself out there and being judged, kind of that vision of, somebody that might say something or that type of thing, which sounds, on the surface, somewhat childish, but, I think we all feel that way in some way, right? We all want to be accepted. And so I think as I think about it, it's really the sense of acceptance. It's like, if I put myself out there and show my stuff and market my stuff, will I be accepted? And will I be shunned? And I think that's kind of the feeling that I get when that kind of stops me from, running around with my cell phone, doing Instagram, pictures and videos and YouTube and stuff like that. There's some things, that I've done in the past, the martial arts stuff that I've demonstrated on YouTube. I did that all my life, and I did that as a million times. So that was something that I knew that, I didn't care what anybody thought because I knew I was good at it. But this is, there's a little bit more insecurity with some of this other stuff. It's like, can I make this good enough to make, am I competitive with the other videos? And, am I going to look, subpar and all that stuff? So I think that's probably, and on the forefront of my fear in terms of marketing and business. I think that's where kind of I'm struggling with that. And I really need to get over it, because to market and to get that brand out, you really have to say you don't give a shit and just do it. So I think that's what I'm struggling with at this point.
I think with like the family function, it's kind of like, I find that people make fun of you when they don't feel like you're serious about it. Because I've had this with my family, even like I've tried doing digital marketing in the past when I was in high school, and I wasn't as serious about it looking back, but at the time I felt serious about it. And like my parents would make fun of it, they'd be like, they would actively kind of like make it sort of like it's not a serious thing I'm doing, it's more of like a joke, like some little hobby. And at the time I felt pretty serious about it. I'm like, I'm going to do digital marketing, and that kind of like, me being younger, it kind of like killed the idea of like doing that. I was like, okay, like not now. But now I'm really serious about it, and I'm really like, if people ask me about it, I'm serious about it, I'm open about it. I'm like, yeah, I do digital marketing. This is what I do. This is who I am. And my parents' reactions to that have changed, and now they're a lot more supportive. Like, whereas before my dad would laugh if I showed him a business card, he actively asked me for one the other day. I'm like, hey, I've got these business cards made. He's like, do you have one for me? And previously he'd have been like, oh, that's cute, you've got a business card. But now he's like, hey, can I have one? And so that's kind of like, if you show you're serious about it and people ask you, how's that book coming? You're like, yeah, it's actually really good. I'm done with like chapter 14 or something, and here's what I'm writing about now. If you show enthusiasm and that you're serious about it, I feel like people take you seriously about it. They're looking for you to prove that it's a hobby or a joke, you know what I mean? And that's back to people doing less than you are. It's like they aren't writing a book, so they want to make fun of you writing a book. But if you show that you're serious about it,
what I took away from Henry, from what you're saying, is a sense of confidence, right?
Yeah.
They have to have an inherent sense of confidence, and then other people might back down, right? If you're confident, then other people are like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing, or he's serious now, or and I think when you start questioning your own confidence is where this all kind of breaks down. If you
people notice that,
right, they can see it, or you can see it. I mean, it's that same thing of an athlete going into a sport, and then you start questioning, like, what, maybe I'm going to screw up this pass, or maybe I'm going to screw up this thing, and you do, because you're thinking it, versus like, I'm going to nail this, or you've rehearsed it in your head so many times that it's perfect. There you have that confidence that just is unshakable, right? And it's building that before you go into those, before you go into the gauntlet, right? Or before you go into the wood chipper, you put your confidence in place so that you don't get eaten alive. That's interesting. But yeah, and Rich, oh, go ahead, Dave.
I was just going to say, like, just have the sense of confidence is there, but also it's that you have that sense of certainty and belief that you can actually help someone with something, right? Like you're out of your own skin. Like you're not inside your own head. You're out of your head. You're saying, this is what I'm doing is going to make a difference in someone's life in some shape, form, or way. And I think that's when you can just get out of your own skin, get out of your own head. Then you can just, you go with you can flow with it, right? That's where I think in the past where I felt most effective. I felt most comfortable when I was in the zone. I was out of my own head, and I was like, hey, this is, I totally believe in this. This is really going to help someone, and I really care about it. That's when it becomes, part of your you perform better, because you do have that sense of certainty that can help somebody. So
yeah, having a solid belief in whatever you're doing is also right. I think that all kind of boosts up the self-confidence piece too, right? It's like, if you know what you're doing is right, quote unquote right, then your confidence in doing it is going to be unwavering.
It doesn't matter what anyone says at that point, because you totally believe it, and it's like, you don't care. You don't care. You just, it's not for them. And if it's not for them, that's okay. But it is for someone else. And I think that's where, we're talking about like the social media and getting out there. I think to kind of jump over that hurdle, you really have to have that feeling. And I think that's something that I kind of been searching for, and I'm hoping, but to have it by tomorrow.
Yeah, by the end of the call, you're just like ironclad.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. So I think what we're finding from digging into everybody's fear here is it's having a confidence that everything's going to be okay, a belief that what you're doing is right, and an understanding that it's not for everybody. And if you can accept that, then that when people say no, or when people turn you down, it's not personal. It's really their issue, not yours.
Right.
And you can continue moving on without bad mouthing yourself, that I'm stupid, dumb, whatever, unworthy, whatever it might be. Any other takeaways that you guys collected from today?
Did you want to ask me something a minute ago, Adam?
I was just saying, we talked about your fear, right? We had, you kind of spoke about the unknown.
It's not really valid. I mean, what don't I know? I mean, yeah, it is valid.
The future.
I thought you were just making a point. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to like jump on your.
Oh no, it's all right. I mean, it's all. I mean, you could always say, "What don't I know?" I mean,
right.
I can't walk down that hallway. How do I know there's not a monster at the other end?
Right.
You could always say that. It's not.
You're living in the
future. Sounds valid, but it's not.
This is a fear of the future, a fear of the unknown.
Right. When is there not going to be a future?
Yeah. Or the future's
right.
bad, or the future's going to be, something's going to happen and I'm going to lose everything. Right.
That's a good saying.
Constant anxiety of not being present.
Yeah.
Right. There's never not going to be a future. There's never not going to be something that you are familiar with. I mean, it's really not. It's not concrete enough to be valid. If you have a concrete fear, like, look, I have good reason to think there's a mugger behind that door, then okay. But if you're just afraid of anything and everything, that's not a valid fear. You need to work on it.
What's the saying? Death by 1,000 cuts, which is, constantly fearing is killing you in itself, right? So versus like the actual death that may or may not be coming. 97%, it was some huge, what was the percent? Do you remember the percentage, David, of how many?
It was like what, 96% or something like that.
96% of the things that we worry about never actually come to fruition. But the 4% that we do worry about actually do come to fruition. So we're constantly worrying about something that's never going to happen, and working up, our, internal, I don't have the anatomy words to describe it, but, your whole physiology is changing as you're becoming anxious of the future. That's never going to happen. So it's not really doing you any good. It's just working you up and getting you into this very anxious state. But, how do you overcome that is, I think, just being okay with the unknown, right? Being somehow comfortable with it. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Just not letting it stop you. I mean, just like there's no requirement that you be comfortable with it. Just don't let it stop you. I mean, I set aside time every day, most days, just to do unpleasant stuff. Like this hour right here is for unpleasant stuff. There's no getting around it. There's no avoiding it. You're gonna do what you don't want to do from 2 to 3 or whatever it might be, and you segment it. You isolate it and plow through it, and then it's over.
I thought you were going to say from 8 to 9.
No, I wasn't going to say that.
So you just ripped off the Band-Aid is kind of your fix, right? You just get it done. You get the pain over with quickly, and then move on.
Technological stuff is my pain points, because I just hate. I'm never going back to WordPress. Now that we got GrooveFunnels, I am never going back to WordPress. I hate it, man. I hate it even more than I did before GrooveFunnels.
That's funny.
God, Dave, I wanted to say, I think it was you a few minutes ago, talking about fear of success. Fear success. You've probably seen this movie. It's like my second favorite movie. If you want to see a movie about fear of success, Good Will Hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, classic.
Great movie.
Classic movie.
I'm not going to give away the spoilers, but if anyone who hasn't seen it, but fear of success is absolutely present there. It's I'll lose my my friends the way I'll be in the unknown, even though it's a good unknown. It's still
Right.
it's a change, and I'm afraid of the change, and I don't want to be successful. I want to stay where I am.
Yeah.
I think you're onto a good point though about you don't have to be comfortable with the things that you fear or you don't want to do. You just have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, and just getting them done.
I'm not even comfortable with it. I just know I have to do it. I hate that hour, that suck hour. The hour of suck. I don't like it, but I just do it. I do it. It's enough to do it.
Right.
You don't have to like it. You have to do it.
You're okay with hating it.
Yeah. I don't kid myself. I hate it.
Yeah.
Whenever I do my speed work workouts, I'm a runner. You do the speed work workouts.
Right.
First, but
It's got to get done.
There's no requirement that you like them. You just do it.
Right.
Love it. All right, gentlemen, we're going to wrap it up. But any closing points, thoughts, takeaways that you want to share with the group before we wrap it up for the evening?
I'd say I heard from a great salesman that some will, some won't. So what? Some will buy, some won't buy. So what?
That reminds me of what's that song? Don't Stop Believing. Some will win, some will lose. Some are born to sing the blues.
Love it. All right, gentlemen, we're going to wrap it up.
Hey,
Ready.
I already sent you an email earlier.
Okay.
If you wouldn't mind, tell me what kind of earbuds you're using, because my mom wants them for a birthday, and I don't know what to get her. But
I'm using ONN. I don't know if you can see that.
That's a Walmart. That's Walmart's brand, right?
Yeah, they're like $20 at Walmart, and they look just like AirPods. So it's like
Okay. I need to get my mom something more expensive than
They work well, and they're a lot better than spending $100 on Apple AirPods. So.
Okay. All right. That's good then. Thanks,
all right, guys. Have a good evening.
See you guys.
We'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.